Welcome to Beginning Fencing, Lesson 26. Today we're going to talk about how a tournament works if you ever get to go to a tournament. And once you're done with this, on your Top Hat page, you'll find another video that tells you how to get ready. If you're the fencer, how do you get ready to go to a tournament? People show up to a tournament. As technology is improved, the organizers have a better and better idea of how many people are actually going to be at this tournament. In the old days, you advertised you were going to have an event, and you dealt with however many people showed up. So what happens? Everybody comes in, they get there by their entry time. The organizers find out how many fencers we have. Let's pick a nice, easy number. We'll say we've got 24 fencers. Fencers have things called ratings, depending on how well they have done. And you get a rating based on your place in an individual tournament and how strong that tournament was. So, tournaments with more fencers are considered stronger than tournaments with fewer fencers. Tournaments that have fencers who were higher rated are considered stronger than tournaments that had fencers that were not as high rated or not rated at all. Fencers can be rated A, B, C, D, E, or U. U means unrated. It means they haven't earned a rating yet. The easiest thing, quote unquote, to get is an E rating. And to get an E rating, all you need is 6 warm bodies. You win, you get an E. Now, if the 6 warm bodies are all A fencers, guess what? You still would only get an E, so it doesn't do any of them any good, other than for the bragging rights doing that tournament. It doesn't up their rating, even though they beat 5 other very good fencers. And it goes up from there. Tournaments with 15, you get like a C or a B or even an A if there are a lot of A's in it. The biggest tournaments where you've got like 200 people, you've got 25, 30 A's, you've got 35 B's. Generally something that big, the top 8 people would get an A, the next 8 people would get a B, I believe the next like 8 or 16 people get C's, and it works down from there. So the organizers, they put the highest rated A as number 1. When you earn a rating, it becomes an A. If you earned it right now, it would be an A20, because you earned it in 2020. You get 4 years to re-earn that rating. So at the end of the 23-24 season, if you didn't re-earn that rating, it would drop to a B24. And 4 years later, it would drop to a C. Sometimes that really messes things up. Somebody takes 15 years off, they were an A, they show up, they're like a D or an E, and yeah, they just hadn't fenced for a while. They're still incredibly good, and they really mess up the season. Okay, so we've seated everybody. We have 24 fencers. We're going to make it into 4 groups of 6. Just because, when possible, you want to have even groups. As we talked about in one of the other lessons, we split the groups of 6. You fence 5 people because you don't get to fence yourself. And everyone has 5 matches. Once everybody's done with all those matches, we can go through and we can determine, who came out first, all the way down to who came out 24th. We do this with things that we call indicators. The first indicator is the percentage of victories. So since all of the groups were the same size, it works out to be the number of victories. Everybody fenced 5. If this worked out correctly, quote unquote, somebody went 5-0, somebody went 4-1, there was a 3-2, a 2 and 3, a 1 and 4, and a 0 and 5. A lot of times in fencing that doesn't happen. You might have 3 people at 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, and then 2, 3, 1, 4, 0, 5. Even rarely see 5 people at 3 and 2, and 1 person at 0 and 5. If your groups are not the same size, let's say we had 25 people. Well, now we had 3 groups of 6 and a group of 7. So the group of 7 has a bit of an advantage because that person can do more. But whoever wins, if they win all their matches, it's not the fact that they have 6 victories. They're still at 100%. And we use the percentage, not the number of victories. So once we've gone through, we figured out the percentages, then we may have some people who are tied at the same percentage. We then go to what we call the indicator, which is we subtract the number of times that you got hit from the number of times you hit someone else. So the larger positive number is the better indicator. We have 2 people who went undefeated. They both won 100%. They're rated equally to start with. Oh, one of them went 5-0, has an indicator of plus 22. They hit people 25 times, they got hit 3 times, they're plus 22. The other person is plus 18. They hit people 25 times, they got hit 7 times. They're plus 18. The person who's at plus 22 is rated above the person who's at plus 18. And you work through the list and you put everybody now in order with that. Then, it's still possible there might be a tie. There might be another person at plus 18. But this person won one of their matches because time ran out, like 4-2. And so their totals are plus 24 and that they hit and 6 that they got hit. So now the next level of indicator separation is determined by who got the most touches. So if 2 people have the same indicator, the person who has more touches gets rated in front of the people who have less touches, or fewer touches. When you go to a really big, like, national event, there may be 350, 400 fencers. It is not uncommon to see 2 or 3 people who are in an absolute tie. You know, they both went 4 and 2, they both have plus 9 indicators, and they both scored 26 touches. And so at that point, the computer just randomly throws them out there. And, you know, they would be, let's say there's 350 fencers, 4 and 2. You're probably something like number 117 T. So because they're tied. What we now do is we put our fencers into a table. We go back to our 24 fencers that our tournament had. We're going to put that into a table of 32. The table will always be some power of 2. If we put it into 24 into a table of 32, we don't have numbers 25 through 32. So what happens? Numbers 1 through 8 have a bye in the first round. And really, the people who will actually be fencing will be 9 versus 24, 10 versus 23, and all the way up until we have 16 fencing 17. Number one person is at the very top of the table. Number two person is the very bottom of the table. Because, well, we're now talking pretty much like the NCAA basketball tournament. We want to try to get it to work out so that final match is 1 versus 2. Okay, so now we go into like what we said before. We're not doing 15 touch bouts. It is direct elimination. So we take the 8 matches that we have to have and we cut to 16 fences. The 8 people who lost are done for the day. We can now set, you will be put into a place depending upon what your original seeding was for this elimination round. So if everything works out like it's expected to, you should have number 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Let's say number 19 throws an upset. They beat number 14. So what happens? 14 is now in 17th place. 17 is in 18th place. 18 is in 19th place. Number 19 is still going. So 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 are all in the spots that they're supposed to be in. Okay, we have 16 fencers. We're going to have 8 matches to cut it to 8. Then we're going to have 4 matches to cut it to 4. And then 2 matches to cut it to 2. And then 1 match to determine our champion. Generally in fencing, we don't fence off for 3rd place. So we give 2 3rd places rather than make them fence off for 3rd and 4th. Under that, again, it goes back to what your original seeding was in this round. So if you've pulled a couple of big upsets, you made it into the top 8. Let's say that number 19 person won their second round match. They made it to the top 8 and then they lose. Well, then it might be number 5 is in 5th, number 6 is in 6th, number 7 is in 7th, and number 19, because they had the highest opening seed, is in number 8. Even though they may have in some ways done better by getting farther than people expected them to. And so then we go to the number 1 position, figure out who wins. Local tournaments, a lot of the time, they'll give out a 1st, a 2nd, and 2 3rds. The really big national tournaments where you've got, again, maybe 250, 300 fencers going for one, title. Generally, they'll give medals to like the top 8 people. And that's, if you're in a 250 person tournament and you make the top 8, you've done pretty well. You've probably had to fence 8 or 9 of those direct elimination matches to get that high. And that's the lesson for today.